You know, one of the things I came to realize when I got to SaskTel was that where we'd always talked about what the future was going to hold for telecommunications, for technology, okay, it was actually here today. It wasn't 3 years out or 5 years out or 10 years out, okay, it was happening today. I arrived on August the 16th at SaskTel. August the 16th is when we launched the 4G network. And it really marked a watershed in terms of change to the wireless industry, to the telecommunications industry. We went from a network that only could handle voice calls to one that was handling voice and data. We went from a network, okay, that was something that was nice to have. It facilitated communications, obviously, to a network that really is at the heart right now of sort of our personal and our business lives. It was a real watershed moment. I don't think I realized it on August the 16th of 2010, okay, but I've sure come to realize it looking back. And looking forward, some of the things that, excuse me, we're going to bring to the market are going to have that same overwhelming impact, okay, in terms of your own personal lives and business lives. Now, technology change is really continuing to accelerate. If anybody thinks it's slowing down, okay, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's going to get faster. There's going to be faster change than you've ever seen before. In just the 2 years since we launched our new network, to give you a bit of a sense of some of that change, BlackBerries have gone from holding a 98% market share in Saskatchewan to less than 20%. You know, we all know that intuitively. We all see it. Just about everybody seems to have an iPhone in this day and age, or some type of Samsung. It's become the most popular company now in the world in terms of selling phones, cell phones. And so it's been a real major change. Flip phones, and there's still a few of them around. I don't know if anybody here in the audience has one, but they're obsolete. If you've got one, you've got probably 3 generations ago of technology, to be very straight up about it. Smartphones, again, are a real key part of anybody's business operations. It's almost impossible in this day and age, I think, to operate without having a smartphone. Again, it could be any one of the varieties, but it's simply very, very important. Right now, your cell phones are probably outdated in about a year. The key systems that run the telecommunications in your own offices right now, well, if they're older than a few years old, they're probably obsolete. And if you're looking to make sure that you're going to be able to handle the 2 area codes that we're going to have starting in May, well, you better check your key system and make sure it's not more than a few years old, or it won't handle 10-digit dialing. And so again, major changes. You're probably all being told about something about services from the cloud, and in the future, that's where your services are going to all come from. Well, you know, it's here today, and we're already starting to provide cloud services ourselves. In fact, we've provided cloud services for a number of years, but it's going to become more and more important over the next number of years. And I can guarantee you that for the majority of you, things probably like email, for instance, okay, or your entire office suite is probably going to come onto the cloud in a few years. It's just the way things are going, and it matches up a lot with the networks that we're providing, because to be able to provide it from data centers, these kind of services, you need very fast network infrastructure. And that's really what we're out there trying to build for you right now. I think for all of us, whether it's SaskTel or it's other companies, okay, the tools that we find that we use to connect with our customers, our stakeholders, our vendors, they're all changing. You know, and just think about the way, for those people who probably use eBay or do banking, and we were talking about banking a little bit earlier, a large part of banking now is through the internet. So the channels are really changing. For us at SaskTel, we've seen the same thing, and we're now putting in self-serve channels. We now have a chat channel as well. And so we're moving to those kind of areas, okay, because that's what customers demand. They want to do things themselves. They don't want to phone in and call our call centers anymore, okay? They'd rather go online. And by the end of 2013, we hope to have a brand new website that will be up and operating with significant self-serve capacity. New wireless and wireline networks are bringing speeds and bandwidth that was only available to the largest customers in the past. Those kind of speeds, that kind of bandwidth, okay, is going to be available to everybody. Right from a residential customer, okay, through small and medium-sized businesses. So in the past, a large company would take a T1 line from us, okay, or a LAN span from us, and they would have the ability to run very large systems and move very large data from place to place. Smaller businesses, it was more problematic, it was higher cost. But in the future, that won't be the case. Fiber access will be there for just about everybody. And fiber access will have close to unlimited speed and close to unlimited bandwidth for you. 30 months ago, when we launched our wireless system, we understood that there was going to be a change, a significant change. But we underestimated in a pretty significant way exactly how significant it was going to be. And so our design parameters talked about, as an example, we would need to double our radio network controllers without getting into the technology. Okay, it's what manages the wireless system. We'd have to double that probably within 18 months, something in that range anyways. Well, within 6 or 8 months, we were already looking at doubling it. And since then, we've added another 2 network controllers. We believe we'll have to continue to double that over the next number of years, okay, both for 4G and for LTE. If you go to something like our landline system or even the wireless system, okay, the type of traffic has changed quite dramatically. 30 months ago, Netflix didn't exist here in Canada. In fact, when I joined SaskTel, I'd really never heard of Netflix. You'd see it occasionally, okay, about something in the US and what Netflix was doing down there. All of a sudden, Netflix showed up here in Canada. And as of today, here in Regina right now, Netflix comprises about 16% of all of our internet traffic. Now, if you add YouTube and some of the other over-the-top providers that are out there, you're into about 40 to 50% of all the internet traffic, okay, comes from organizations or companies or applications that weren't there in the past. And the amount of the traffic, okay, has compounded itself on a major basis. So what you're talking about, again, is very much kind of a sea change in what we're trying to manage and what we're trying to do. Keeping on top of the changes and delivering the new networks is very challenging. There is only a certain speed at which you can roll these things out. And yet the speed of change, the kind of applications, the technology that's being attached to the networks is progressing so very fast, it's tough to keep up. The iPhone 5 is a good example of that. You know, we knew we were going to get the iPhone 4. We knew we were going to get it, okay, back in 2011. But the impact on the network was something we were not prepared for. The amount of signaling that it takes, for instance, okay, and the fact that its applications are constantly searching for new information. So just think of the weather app that you might have on your iPhone right now. That weather app is always looking to get updated, to get the latest in weather information. That means it's constantly working on the network. That's something that the old phones didn't do. The flip phones didn't do something like that. So again, it was pretty much a sea change for us, something that was completely different. Now, if you think about our basic landline system, it's a twisted copper pair system. You've probably seen those 2 little wires, okay, that connect up to your telephone, okay, in your house or to whatever other device. It was something we started building in the 1950s, went through the 1960s, 1970s. We then started to introduce fiber optics into the network. That was what we started to use for for transport throughout the province. From there, we took fiber optics and we started to push it out into residential areas, and we built something called fiber to the node, a next generation network. And that essentially meant fiber was in your local neighborhood. But from that node, okay, to your home was actually copper. And that has certain types of limitations that are attached to it. And copper essentially is an old technology. Now, you can continue to do things with copper. And there's something called copper bonding as an example, and you can increase the speeds, and there's new types of technology, okay, that allow you to get a little bit more out of that old plant, but it does have limitations. And we know we've arrived at sort of the point in time where those limitations are not going to be able to allow us to satisfy people here in Saskatchewan. And you see it across Canada, and you see it in the United States, and you see it around the world. Fiber is now taking over. Fiber optics is going to be the future. Beginning in 2010, we started to actually rebuild our entire telecommunications system here in Saskatchewan. We need to change not just our networks, we need to change our back-end systems. Some of our billing systems, as an example, go back as long as 20 years. You know, they obviously were not built with the kind of real-time expectations that our customers have right now. But we do have a vision of what we want to look like in the next number of years. That new system is going to be IP-based, and that's probably not a surprise to anybody, but it will be IP protocol. It consists of 2 basic networks. We're going to have a fiber optic landline network throughout Saskatchewan, and people will be served by fiber optics. And secondly, LTE will be our wireless network of the future. Now, 4G is doing great, and again, after 2.5 years, we couldn't be happier with it. I think our customers generally are pretty satisfied with the product. They'd like more coverage, more capacity, et cetera, okay? But it has definite limitations. It will not live up to the kind of applications, okay, that are coming in the future. So we're moving to LTE. You're going to see us launch that very, very soon. I'll talk about that in a minute. This will be a replacement, and again, the existing copper system we're going to start to pull out, and all the switches, and they're located in places all around Saskatchewan right now, and they're very large. They eat up large rooms like this. They're going to be gone. Everything will be soft switches. Everything will essentially be VoIP to a large extent. And I don't think people see that change kind of coming, but it's right around the corner. We'll actually hopefully remove our first switch either late in 2013 or early into 2014. And so we'll have an entire community here in Saskatchewan for the first time move over, okay, to IP technology. And again, it'll all be based on fiber. So again, it's a fairly significant change. You're seeing and hearing a little bit of it that's out there right now, but 2013 will be the year, okay, where you'll actually see sort of significant development, significant change that will impact the way that we provide services to each and every person. These soft switches I'm talking about, they're all in data centers. And so we're not really thought of as being a data center company, but right now we actually have 4 different data centers around the province. And that's how we deliver a lot of our services at the present time. We're going to add another data center here in Regina. We're going to build additional capacity up in Saskatoon. And almost everything we do, okay, will be called over the top, similar to Netflix. It'll be services that you can subscribe to, potentially just through the internet, potentially just through one of our websites. But it'll be much different than the kind of embedded services that we've provided in the past, where they were part and parcel of the network. You'll actually get to choose which ones you want and which ones you don't want. You've heard the word converged, I think, a lot in the past, about networks becoming converged, about being able to get the same services on any and every device, okay? It's a converged network. It's been an idea, it's been around for a long time. It's been one of our visions as a company for a long time. I assume it was probably in some of our literature and our planning sessions going back 10, 11, 12 years. But for the first time, okay, we're actually making progress on a converged network. Our networks in 5 years will not be separate networks. There won't be a 4G and LTE. There won't be landline networks, and each of them having maybe little bridges between them. It'll be one network. Whether you're wireless, whether you're in your home on a landline system, whether you're on Wi-Fi, it'll be one network, and you'll be able to get any product you get from us through any device that you want. And you're going to start to see some of that actually arrive this year in 2013. So again, it'll be materially different. You know, we keep talking internally about the fact we're moving from being a telecommunications company to becoming an information and technology company. And so telecommunications really is not going to be our business in the future. Talking about the telephone, look, the telephone's one more application. And just as you can put a telephone application on your computer, or you can put it on your wireless device, in the future, again, it's just one of a number of things that we'll be providing. And in your home, it'll be an application. In fact, later this year, we'll introduce a product that if you want, your home telephone number will be able to ring as well on your cell phone, on your computer, or on any other device that you may have. They'll all be connected, essentially. So again, it's moving towards this whole idea of convergence. How do we accomplish this transition? Well, again, it's about rebuilding everything that we are from front to back. Right now, we have approvals in place over the next 5 years for $1.6 billion in capital construction. And so as you can see, it's going to be a busy 5 or 6 years for us. We're rebuilding everything, like I say, from the front end to the back. I want to take a little look at sort of a recent past. I talked a little bit about 4G, but I want to talk about the rollout of 4G. As you know, when we launched it, well, you would expect that as we launched it, I had a long-term sort of plan in mind. We knew exactly what it was supposed to do, how many towers it would have needed, et cetera, okay? And we built it with certain expectations and assumptions in mind. But immediately after we launched it, all of a sudden, we found that iPhones, Samsung Galaxies, smartphone tablets, data sticks, the iPad, all these things kind of were flying off the market. And you know, the net result to all of this was the fact that all of a sudden there was too much data trying to stream over the network, more than we'd ever expected. We understood that if we were going to keep up, we had to change the way we were doing business and the way we had to approach things. And so one of the things that we've gone ahead and done is we've changed our whole process around how we try to add capacity to our network. We're using a lot more contractors. We brought companies in from outside of Saskatchewan as an example, okay, to increase the amount of capacity that's available here to address some of the issues and some of the concerns. Now, to give you an idea, I guess, of how fast data was growing here in Saskatchewan, we had weeks where it was 5% during 2011. So in 1 week, capacity had to grow at least by 5% to keep up with the demand from our customers. We had a period of time in Saskatoon right after the summer break, as an example, okay, where all the students came back, and we thought we were ready for it. But demand on the network grew by 15% the week following September 1st in Saskatoon. So you probably have some sense now why there might have been a little congestion on the network, okay, at certain points in time. And we're still running into a little bit of it, okay? We're in much better position than we have been, I think, in the past year and a half. And I do want to add that this is something that caught everybody in the industry off guard. I don't care whether it's AT&T or whether it was Verizon, et cetera, okay? I mean, I travel the States a little bit. You find the same problems wherever you go. I mean, it was just a fact that the industry, the telecommunications industry was caught off guard. So I think things have we're getting basically caught up. We did over 200 individual projects in 2012 with respect to adding capacity and capability to the network. And it means sometimes adding more towers, sometimes it was antennas on top of rooftops. Sometimes it was just adding basic software technology, okay, that manages the network in a different way. A new software version on our RNCs, our radio network controllers, okay, I think if I remember correctly, added something like a 50% boost in the management capacity, okay, of the network. Anyways, it was a very significant change just by upgrading some software. So again, those things were all very, very important. Now, what does it mean for us? Well, by about the start of 2012, we got our drop call rate down to about we got it down from 1.87 to 0.86. And that doesn't sound like a huge drop, but I can tell you, as somebody who takes a lot of the calls when people don't get their connections okay, it was a pretty significant drop from my perspective. Being at about 0.86, okay, or around 1%, means that 99% of your calls or 99% of your data sessions are making it through the network. And we're pretty happy with that. That's better than most wireless networks here in North America. The target is usually around 2%. So we're pretty satisfied with that. But it's going to be a challenge to keep up with it. We've moved 400,000 customers onto the network in roughly 30 months. And so you can see where a little that demand growth is actually coming from. I think about another 100,000, okay, in the next sort of year, year and a half, something like that. And so again, that's going to continue to tax us to a certain extent. And all the time this is happening, every time we turn around, some company, okay, it might be Samsung, it might be Apple, has come out with something new that's eating up more bandwidth and more speed. And so again, it's been a bit of a running battle, but I do expect this will stabilize a fair bit, starting probably in about 2014, I'm thinking. In 2013, we have another 150 projects that'll be underway that'll add capacity, towers, et cetera. We're going to do a number of things to try to improve service over that period of time. But, it's a reality that customer demand and competition are continuing to drive the need for more bandwidth, more speed, more applications, and we do hear that. And I was happy actually to hear from John a few minutes ago, okay, that a new tower that we put up near Saudi was taking care of some needs that were out in that particular area. So we do hear it, we do list it, we do get to it at certain points in time, okay? It's just a large project and a large build, okay? And again, it will take us time. To give you a bit of an idea of how much money we've spent, and so we haven't spared the capital by any stretch, we've put $350 million into the 4G network in the past 30 months. And so if it would have been possible to do more in those 30 months, we would have tried to have done it, but we were basically using up all of the construction resources that were available. And so we're pretty much at the max right now in terms of how fast we can build out that particular network. Now that brings me a little bit to, first of a couple of words that we use as a theme for us at SaskTel that really have a lot to do with how we're trying to change the company. And the first is transformation. We expect accelerating change as a given in our industry. We know it's going to be there. With all of these new networks and services coming on, it sometimes feels to us like we're just basically keeping up. And I'm sure there's people in the audience here, okay, or here in the province that believe we are just barely keeping up, or maybe we're not quite keeping up. Managing that change, though, isn't just what we're trying to do. What we want to be able to do is to actually own the change. We want to embrace it. We want to lead it through, okay, and find the new products and services that can go with the change to help you make best use of the new technology as business people. That's really where the value is. Cell phones are great. Smartphones are great devices, Love them for the weather, okay, for emails and all the rest of it. But it's what you can do with them when it comes to business systems that's really important. That's what's going to drive down your costs. That's going to get you to your customers a little faster. That's what's going to give you competitive advantages. And for the people that adopt that technology, okay, I think the world is your oyster in a sense. And we really want to be there to try to support that, to try to help you take advantage of the opportunities that are there. So what are some of the new services that we're going to bring forward in the future? Well, let me start with LTE, and this is we'll be launching our first phase of our new LTE wireless network very, very quickly. We're in technical trials right now. It's actually up and operating for a lot of my staff, so we're testing it out just to make sure that we know how it's going to function, that sort of the right technical aspects are being put in place. The availability is going to be, it's going to be available, pardon me, in early February of 2013. It'll be available in Regina, Saskatoon, and the surrounding communities. LTE is all about one thing, and that is speed and capacity. That's really what it's there for. It would allow for data speeds that are 5 times faster than 4G. So as great as 4G was for us over time, okay, LTE 5 times faster. So the amount of latency, the amount of time it takes for something to kind of show up on your screen, you know, when you see that little circle kind of going around and around, okay, on the internet, and you say, you know, why isn't it there for me? Okay, well, this will take care of some of that for you. But that faster speed means more capacity. So when we launch LTE and some of our customers start using phones that are compatible in both 4G and LTE, that will add a lot of capacity to the combined network. So there's going to be a big boost in capacity in Regina, Saskatoon, and the surrounding communities, starting the very date that we put LTE out there. Our new LTE network, it'll have double the towers of our nearest competitor at launch. The advantage will grow during 2013 to the point that we're going to add 7 more communities to the LTE network during 2013. Initially, only SaskTel phones or SaskTel SIM cards will operate on the network, but in the future I expect that you'll see that expanded. We will have something that's kind of unique to Saskatchewan. We're going to have the first converged core operating 4G and LTE. Now, again, what does that mean exactly? Well, in the past, every network kind of had its own set of technical properties, okay, from top to bottom, or technical equipment from top to bottom. And then there was bridges that kind of sent calls back and forth. Well, now the central switch that manages all the people that will be on 4G and LTE, it will manage both networks. And it is the start of a true converged core that all landlines will be part of as well. So again, instead of separate networks, one network. And it's sort of that, again, that vision of you can get any service, any place, anytime. And we will be the first company in Canada to have that kind of converged core. So I think a major accomplishment for us, great for the province of Saskatchewan, and starts to position us to be a leader in some of the technology. I do want to point out that LTE phones will be backward compatible with 4G. So we'll brand the network as 4G LTE, or maybe it's LTE 4G. I think that's the proper branding. But again, if you buy a phone and you operate it on 4G, but it has LTE capability, you'll simply have to have a change, maybe the SIM card or the operating system. It'll run on LTE. When you leave Regina or Saskatoon, okay, and you've got the phone with you and you go out to rural areas, it'll simply operate on 4G for you. So instead of being like the old CDMA network, you had to throw the flip phone away and you bought a brand new phone that worked on 4G, you've now got compatibility between networks. And again, it's a big change in terms of how we're able to market, and again, it doesn't force you to change things immediately. One of the biggest areas of excitement for us this year, and I think for a lot of our customers, is the fact that we started to bring out what we call an infinite fiber service, and it's fiber optics at the heart of it. Crews began hooking up customers in fiber optics in the first neighborhoods in both Regina and Saskatoon in 2012. We passed 40,000 homes in Regina and Saskatoon during 2012. That was our target, since we were very happy. We thought that it was a pretty successful year. Of those, we hooked up about 5,000 customers. And so for the first time, customers actually have fiber optics directly into their home. All of their services, okay, are being tied into fiber optics. This year, in 2013, we will pass another 40,000 homes in Regina, Saskatoon, and we'll be moving into Moose Jaw as well. We'll be hooking up about another 26,000 customers or more if we possibly can. But it does take time, and so we're always a little late hooking up the customers as compared to passing the homes. Now you may ask, what's so great about fiber? Okay, I've talked a little bit about speed and things like that, but the key aspect about fiber that's really important is the fact it's future-proof. If you want more speed or you want more capacity, you change the electronics. You don't have to change the fiber. And so really for us as a company, and for the province to a certain extent, we're going to put a fiber network in place that'll last us for a long time. I don't know if it's 50 years or 100 years, okay, but it'll last as long as the fiber lasts. And fiber that we put in 30 years ago and 40 years ago is still running real well. So it really will future-proof us as a province. We recently announced that we're offering a 260 megabit per second service on fiber. That'll be the fastest residential offering in all of Canada. No other company is offering those kind of speeds. Now that's fast, let me tell you. To give you a bit of a sense of how fast it is, the CRTC here in Canada has set 5 megabits per second as its target for all Canadians by 2015. And I'm telling you, we can already do 260 megabits per second. Most people today, most people here in the room, you're probably enjoying something in the 10 to 25 megabits per second service right now. So if you want that top-end service from us, you can sort of 10 times as fast. And I always thought that it would be people like the Max, the impact on Max. I've seen the Max product just looks a lot better. It does less pixelization, things like that. But what people really like is the internet speed. So if you talk to anybody who's got fiber in their home, okay, it's the fact there's none of that, like say, that little circle going around and around on your computer. It moves like lightning, basically. But it's a great product from that perspective. But you know what really excites me is not just the fact you're at 260 right now, but the fact that you can do 1 gigabyte per second on fiber today. So if there was a market for it, if there's anybody in the room here, okay, that was really willing to spend for that, we'd be quite happy to run 1 gig into your house. You know, 1 gig runs entire companies. But the capability is there, and I'm sure that somebody's going to come up with applications or ideas or concepts, okay, that'll use up that kind of bandwidth in the future. But it really gives us an opportunity, you know, as new technology comes out, for us to provide you with the very best in network services going forward. So what does it give you today? Well, we're going to be able to provide each of you with better products, and that's what's really exciting for us. For Max, it means 8 HD TV streams can be provided at once. And if somebody needed more than 8 in their home, I can't imagine why. But if you needed more than 8 in your home, we'd be happy to probably put in more than 8. But that's what's possible now with this particular product. It means a clearer Max picture. You won't get pixelization like you've had in the past. It means 3D TV when it arrives. It means enhanced home video conferencing. You know, and really what's starting to excite me now about 2013 is the fact that we've now got fiber into all of our towers, which is making our wireless network serve you a lot better. I'm really excited about what we're doing with residential customers, and the people that have already received it, and some I know personally, okay, love the product, okay, but it's the fact in 2013 we're going to start to extend fiber, okay, to the business community. We're going to extend fiber into downtown areas throughout Saskatchewan. That will give individuals in the business community the kind of capacity and the kind of service and the kind of speed, okay, that we've only put into residential and our big business customers in the past. Now you'll see a major announcement about this in a couple of weeks. It'll define sort of which cities we're going to be in and what kind of time frames. But again, you know, I think that it's something that will really excite people. In the past, if you wanted to get the kind of speeds that were on something like fiber, okay, it was a very special build. You know, as we run fiber out there in the downtown cores, okay, for business, we'll be paying for the build, and you'll get the services and pay for the services if you want to take them. And you'll get to pick the kind of speeds you want. You don't have to pick 260 megabits per second, although we'd love to have you do that, but you can pick 100, you can pick 50, you can pick whatever suits your business needs. Again, a better product. You know, I would add to it as well, our fiber network is very old. Again, it was started to be built in the 1950s. As we put in fiber, you know, you're going to get a more reliable service. It's not old, it's brand new, it's the latest technology, and again, the reliability of it is going to be that much more, much better maybe than we've had in the past. So we see multiple benefits from it. Another one of the products that I'm very enthusiastic about, and it's more a residential product, although maybe businesses will want it as well, okay, is something we call New Max Online. And it's a Netflix type service is really what it is. We just launched it very quietly, okay? It's available to those of our customers that take certain types of movie packages. And it's got the same sort of Netflix approach to it in the sense that you can have it on your computer. So if you'd like to look at some movies, for instance, okay, you're subscribed to them on your regular Max service, go on your computer now, you call it up, okay, and you can watch movies to your heart's content. Or you can watch Max Local on Demand. We're going to continue to add services to that particular product over the next little while. You're going to see an ability sometime probably mid-2013 that you can rent movies through that particular product as well. And on top of it, it will be available, okay, on iPads and on your cell phones. Probably mid-2013, maybe the latter part of 2013. But again, it's the kind of products and services you see some of these, okay, down east right now. You know, I'm here to say they're coming here to Saskatchewan as well, okay, and they'll be available to those people that are subscribing to Max right now at no extra cost. So they're value adds in a sense. The second word that we focused on in our business plan right now going forward is optimize. And this is really a key for us because while we're transforming to new services, to new networks, it's just as important for us to continue provisioning and providing support for our classic services. You know, for those of you who have sort of a regular telephone in your home, okay, just want regular Max, we want to make sure we continue to provide those services in the same positive way we have in the past. And for businesses that don't want to move to maybe some of the new products and services at this point in time. As part of this, we've come to understand one of the things we haven't done a great job of maybe for the past few years, okay, is service to our business customers. You know, if you want to phone in and talk to us about some problem you're having on your business lines right now, you phone our regular phone number, you get into our regular call center. You're probably in a queue there with a bunch of residential customers as well. And we've come to understand that that doesn't work for business. So starting in 2013, we're going to set up a separate business line. We will staff it on a 365 days a year basis, 24 hours a day. And business will have an opportunity to phone one line that's dedicated simply to business, to reach individuals whose sole purpose, okay, will be to solve your problems. And probably more importantly, I don't know about you, but the one thing that drives me crazy when I phone companies, okay, in their call centers is that there's call handoffs. So you may get, you know, person X, and all of a sudden the problem, they can't figure it out. They'll give you to person Y, and you're moved over to another individual. Well, in our new call center, okay, with the people that are in there, it will be their sole purpose in life to solve your problem, and they're not to transfer the calls. And so you'll get somebody who's supposed to solve your problem, take it from when you phone in, work it through whoever else in the corporation they have to work it through, but get it to a point, okay, where they got you a solution. Makes it easier for you to kind of reach out and know who either satisfied you or disappointed you, okay? And it makes it easier from my perspective to do the exact same. When you start to move calls around in an organization and people are coming and going and you're trying to run a 24-hour shop sometimes, it makes it very difficult to track what's happening and where it's going. We're going to start transitioning to this service in the first quarter. We hope to be up and fully operational basically by the end of the second quarter of 2013. But we believe that this will be a much better service arrangement, okay, for business here in Saskatchewan. To capture the way our industry is going through a transformation, you'll hear us sometimes talk about Telco 2.0. And simply put, it's a way to talk about the industry applying technologies and services from the internet. We're no different than you. We need to adjust and, again, use some of the new technologies that are out there. What it means for us, as I think as mentioned earlier, is that we'll be able to provide a lot more services over the top. Services that right now, you might be able to get them from, you know, small companies that are connected on the net, but we'll put them up in our data centers, okay, in our cloud. You'll be able to access those. You're going to see us become a lot more focused on the user, because while the network is always the core of what we do, okay, it's the services you provide on top of the network that in the end produces some of the profitability for us, okay, and gives you the kind of things that you want, and you want one-stop shopping most of the time. You don't want to come to us for a part of your business solutions and then go to somebody else, but you want to come to us and then at some point in time get all of the things, whether it's wireless, whether it's landline, whether it's a video product or whatever else, you want to get it all from us. A recent example of a new business opportunity we entered into is an Oracle identity management software product. We were the first ones in North America to offer it. Oracle began working with us on it, I think because we were a smaller company, a little easier to deal with us rather than a large company. And really, when I talk about identity management, it's all about passwords, things like that, access into networks. And we're happy to be providing that here in Saskatchewan, and we're working with a number of companies to introduce it, okay, into their organizations, into their operations. But we've also been lucky enough that we landed a contract outside of Canada with a company in the United States. That company is going to use that product out of our data center here in Saskatchewan for 400,000 doctors in the States. Now, the initial rollout, tens of thousands of doctors, okay, but eventually, if we're successful, you'll see it being used, okay, for a much wider audience. This is giving us some opportunities to bring products here into the province, okay, that need some scale. We can sell them out to companies outside the province, okay, but make sure that they're available to companies here in the province, and we do it from our own data centers. So it's an ideal situation, and our networks actually allow us to be able to continue to do some of this. You know, for a period of time, we're going to be in both worlds. We're going to be in that new world of Telco 2.0 and in the old world of Telco 1.0. But I would tell you in 5 years, we'll be completely in a new world. Fiber-based again, LTE probably be the major wireless product that we'll be managing. You know, I would tell you, and I think you would all agree, that succeeding in an environment of rapid change, increased competition is really difficult. You have to innovate, you have to adapt. And we've been doing that over the past few years, and we're really going to have to do it over the next 4 or 5 years as well. I do believe at heart that wireless and wireline technologies, okay, networks generally, are really a key part of the province's success going forward. If you can't access external markets, if you can't communicate well, if you can't get the services you need, it's going to be tough to be successful. And so I tend to think SaskTel is going to be a key player going forward. Our intent is to try to help Saskatchewan become the most connected place in the world. We were talking a little bit about penetration rates, okay, in Saskatchewan right now I think wireless penetration is around 80%, so 80% of people have cell phones or other devices. I tend to believe that'll probably be in the 100 and some percent in the very near future. And again, we can be part of making sure those connections are there. Anyways, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Love to answer a few questions, and if anybody would like to meet one-on-one with myself or any of the VPs that I have here, we'd be more than pleased to stay after and have a few of those chats in the corridor. Thank you very much.